some of our best teams here in the LPL, especially with Top Esports being one of them. Now, we're heading into draft for our second game of the series, and I think very deservedly so, the Rumble ban is coming out right out the gate. Pantheon, Renekton, Gwen also being taken off the table.
Honestly, it just means that this is probably going to be an Mbessa first pick here for Breathe. Could also be looking towards jungle. You know, we're talking about Vi being left up on the table. I know that one of the few teams that is still playing this champion right now is Weibo in their priority. So I wonder if we're going to be seeing either one of these two champions looked at.
Bear's also taken off, so it gives more power to an Mbessa first pick like you were teeing up for Breathe here on Weibo. And to be fair, I thought Breathe, up until the team started losing, was having a spectacular performance on the Kazante. And Top Esports also giving respect to Breathe. So it's the Mbessa taken off the table, but that means the Trundle is left on the board, and Tian will take the Troll King for himself.
Trundle could invite some dive, I think. You're going to still have tanks in this game, but a lot of the AD bruisers no longer available means that I think that when we look at for Top Esports, they're going to have to be a little bit more creative with what answers and what champions they're looking for. This could be an Italy game here for Kanavi. Depending on how the lanes look and how he's feeling, he has been one of the only junglers playing this champion and definitely leads more into that credence of a jungle-led team here for Top Esports.
Specifically into the Trundle as well. I know that I personally called for some junglers to start playing Kindred. Milky Way was one of them, even though it was not successful in that particular game against, I believe it was JDG. I'll have to...
Yes,
yeah,
I think so.
JDG. But this is a Vi lock-in from the side of Kanavi, so Top Esports are already pigeoning themselves into a dive comp, because if you select Vi, you better have other people that want to dive with her. Otherwise, she is going to feel very, very sheepish if she makes a solo engage and just gets completely collapsed on.
I'm looking at this from the side of Top Esports. Honestly, this could be an early Akali angle already coming out. The Jax to answer the Yorick on the side lane. Creme, what mage are we looking for? Azir could be something that looks as an answer. It's a bit tougher into the Talia as the game goes on. We could see Orianna as an answer as well. These three champions are, in my mind, really the ones that are popping out, but we're going to take the aggressive option with the Ahri instead. So Top Esports want to have self-sufficient solo lanes and things that are going to set up for good positions for Kanavi's Vi.
Now, this is a flippin' dynamic from game one, right? Wukong, a little bit more self-resources being put into Kanavi's basket, and Creme was the facilitator with Yanni. Now, it's the other way around. Kanavi is willing to be the one that aggresses with the point-and-click ultimate, and Creme can benefit by diving alongside with him. So that means on these level 6 power spikes from Top Esports, I really want to see both of these guys forcing plays onto Weibo and really putting them into the dirt and getting that snowball rolling for them.
You say level 6, I think we might see some level 4, level 5 action. I mean, Talia with no flash turns into an early kill. Huge focus now on our AD carries. We had that Varus in the first phase, but Ezreal, Kalista, I imagine maybe even Jhin starts to get targeted here. Xayah and Sivir are two champions that I'm looking for whether or not JackeyLove and Light are going to reach for them.
Let's see what Top Esports decide to ban away. The Lucian, something that, even though a Vi could lock down, has the mobility to try and distance himself from the follow-up on the cease and desist. I think the Xayah is a great call-out, because if you can secure it for yourself as JackeyLove, that means Light does not have a way to dodge the cease and desist for himself. But that does mean Weibo has a chance to potentially try and just ban it away. But it's actually the Nico that is getting the respect ban.
All right, Xayah, Corki, two champions that I'm looking at. I think with the Valkyrie, definitely option goes for it. Maybe they actually just decide to go for a support counter pick instead. You have the Nico already gone, and you still have access to things like the Alistar that are going to make it very difficult. So teams like, yes, that is the choice we're going to have. And this does leave for JackeyLove to still have options as to which AD carry he wants to opt into. So for Weibo, I think right now what we need to see from them is an AD carry that is not only going to be self-sufficient like that Xayah we had noted, but someone who is going to hopefully contest in these fights. I don't think it's Senna, even though she has so many different champions around her right now that make it incredibly difficult for Top Esports to operate.
With a Poppy, too, trying to deflect any dashes from Top Esports divers here. It's a nice way to at least block it and try and stall and slow down
now,
the fight.
please.
JackeyLove.
Just slam this. It is literally
not
the perfect smolder angle. You don't have to deal with how low range. The only problem is maybe a pillar, but you have flap, flap, flap. Like, I think you're fine. I don't know if Sivir really gets to hit in this game, so we'll see what ends up happening here for JackeyLove.
There's always going to be the danger if Weibo Gaming are able to prolong this game super, super late and allow Light to farm up a lot of Senna stacks and just effectively outrange JackeyLove. However, we do know that JackeyLove has pulled out some quite amazing Sivir performances. If we think back to, I believe, the last time that these two teams played against each other, it was Weibo trying to run down Top Esports on their side of the map before JackeyLove, with his dying breath, sent out a full Sivir combo, multiple ricochet blades, and just being able to secure game one for themselves. And it does provide a little bit of that late game insurance. If you fall behind with this composition, the wave clear from Sivir is always very strong and reliable, but it is shifting a lot of agency and responsibility of burden for execution to Creme and Kanavi to get things done here in the mid game.
Side lanes are going to be so impactful in this game. I want to see if the solo lanes can get things done here for Weibo. You have Talia who can answer, help out Breathe on a side, or maybe we get Light and Crisp involved. I think with a Senna, this is a backseat here for Light and something that we're going to have to be watching for as he has a Trundle in front of him to really kind of run through this front line of Top Esports.
Let's see how the story unfolds here. Both of the drafts are locked in. The players are ready to go. It's time to hit the rift for Top Esports and Weibo Gaming. Game 2.
Thank you to Liv, currently on socials. Creme has won his last 8 games on Ahri. He is 37-19, if I'm correct. Yes, 37-19, and won the last 8. The last one was actually up against Weibo themselves. So
just goes to show how much faith they have in this champion for Creme. And he has the opportunity to extend it to 9 wins in a row. Could be a massive pro diff here on the Rift. And speaking of pro diff, shout out to our sponsor, prodiff.gg, who, if you want to get some personalized coaching, some one-on-one tips from pro players who are from LTA, ERLs, or even the NACL, both current and former, just use the website there, link, prodiff.gg, or even the QR code, and make sure to use code LPL10 for a discount to support the stream.
They've been really great. Glad to have them as a sponsor for the show, and as we get back into this game, watching for how these two junglers interact. Already a lot of wards going in on the side of Top Esports to defend entrances into their jungle. And Kanavi is moving into the bot side of the map after clearing out his top side, which is not the same here for Tian. So need to see what Kanavi can do early on. You know, something I wanted to talk to you about, actually, but we didn't have time during the draft. You were talking about Kanavi being less of a carry, necessarily, doesn't need as many resources. I think I'm going to beg to differ on this one. I think a Vi that's going to have a lot of gold, going to have a lot of setup with her and her Ahri, can be a huge difference maker for this team.
Okay, so this is always a fun conversation to have about junglers like Vi, junglers like Xin, or even Jarvan. I guess when I say that, oh, you're not going to need as many resources, I'm still advocating for you to clear and take your camps. Because your first item spike is still going to be important. And it's not like you just dedicating to farming isn't necessarily bad. I just want to impress upon people that when you are playing Vi, you have a point-and-click button that should guarantee a flash or someone dying on your screen. So as long as Top Esports are doing that proactively, or at least using the threat of it to guarantee objectives and other big wins across the map, I'm a happy camper.
There you go. It's going to be Kanavi finishing his 6th camp here. Tian already done. So he's looking going out into the rivers. Not much for him to do on top side, and mid lane's a pretty tough spot. Xiaohu's going to have to use his teleport 3.5 minutes into this game already out of mana in this matchup. So with him teleporting back, and depending on how this wave in mid lane looks, this could be an option where Kanavi can sneak up behind him, and well, once this wave crashes and Creme gets back in, they could look for a play. Oh no.
Breathe has made this top lane very volatile. 369 is below 500 HP. Might be enough for Tian to at least burn a summoner spell, if not first blood. Tian's going to lead the charge. Pillar onto 369. Easy chomp. And the flash guarantees that no one goes down. It's first blood for Weibo.
Still, not bad though, because this wave is going to crash. It'll be a full plate here for Breathe alongside that kill, so he gets a 600 gold lead for himself. And Kanavi can't really do all that much. Some of the issues that we were kind of looking for, glad to see that Breathe is stepping up on this lineup so far.
Once again, Tian is able to find an early look here. It's been kind of the calling card for, at least with these two junglers that you see on the Rift. Kanavi is always going to try and prioritize efficient farming, rubber band on those camps, and just trying to accelerate his level lead over his opponent, whereas Tian willing to flip the game a little bit and try to look for those advantages to leverage his solo lanes. Now the question comes, Dimitri, if Tian can make repeat ganks, or if the person that he just gave a benefit to in Breathe can actually make use of that advantage.
It's tough to gank some of these lanes though, right? Like Senna and Poppy is not the most amount of damage, nor is it the best setup here. Xiaohu's going to take a little bit of damage here in mid. This is still tough. I mean, he doesn't have a recall that's going to get him anything. He backed in that first 30 minutes for a tier, and he is a third of his HP, no mana, and the wave is on Creme's side right now. It's going to eventually push here, so he'll miss about half a wave for this. And all in all, Breathe is going to be the biggest benefactor out of this early game. Got a second plate for himself, and as is Jax, he can be actually really, really powerful in this game, not only against Vi and this Yorick, but also thinking about a low mobility Sivir as well.
Counter-Strike has so much value in just being able to deflect a lot of that incoming physical damage, since it really is based mostly from auto attacks on all the physical damage champions that top esports have. Yeah, there's some spells that do some decent bursts, but Jax is going to get tankier when he throws down that Grandmaster's Might and will win the sustained battle. Kanavi not going to go for the dragon, even though Tian is on the top side, because he doesn't have prio from 369 on that bot side, but he's going to be looking for Xiaohu. The charm is going to be flashed by Xiaohu, so Kanavi will not bother trying to extend the play.
It's so tough, and look at this. I mean, Tian's on the top side, but what else is going to get done here in this instance, right? Like, there's an Alistar that's in the area. Hung has actually already grabbed himself the teleport, so if he needs to show on one side of the map and then immediately make an entrance on the other side, that could make it incredibly difficult for Weibo to ever find any access in one of these lanes right now. And with Xiaohu losing his flash, Creme having that ultimate on a really low cooldown, could mean that they could be searching again. Kanavi, he needs one camp, I think, right now to hit level 6. So yeah. Xiaohu needs to be careful for the next 3 minutes.
And I think that's just going to make Weibo forced to have Tian and or Crisp always puppy guarding Xiaohu on this mid wave whenever he's trying to look for a crash. Because if he steps up too far, he has no way to stop Kanavi from just sending it with a flash cease and desist. That engage range can easily be activated, and all Creme has to do is just follow up with a guaranteed charm. So Weibo, just watch for whether Xiaohu is wanting to still push up. You'll definitely see some of his supporting cast members ensuring that he is protected on both sides.
Xiaohu's going to walk back into mid. We have Grubs spawning in 30. The Dragon's already up, and Tian is going to have a natural pathway into this mid lane. So even with all the buttons that top esports have, they don't usually interact with terrain all that well. So with Chris being first out alongside his mid laner, should be expecting to see how Weibo kind of creatively either play for one of these two objectives.
I mean, look at this. Crisp on the left side, Tian on the right side. They're marking both of the entrances that Kanavi could have been looking for now that he has hit level 6. This is just really smart and great awareness from the side of Weibo. Oh my goodness, the seismic shove forcing the flash out of Creme. Now that's something that Weibo could try and punish if they ever get Spirit Rush off cooldown.
I think it's tough, though. It's only the flash, and with Creme having his ultimate up, and again, 8 seconds. Look at this huge wave that Light is currently catching underneath his turret. He's going to have to drop this. He does have ultimate. How many grubs here can Weibo actually secure? It'll be 1 to start, but Creme is now on a flank.
And Tian just used Smite. Flash from
Oh.
Chris. Seismic shove. That's a big combo. Kanavi is caught. And Creme now joins the fray. But does he have enough damage with JackeyLove to turn the tides of battle? Hong is already about to drop. The charm goes wide. And Creme is forced to bail. Big win for Weibo at the grub pick.
That's Feats of Warfare immediately going over to Weibo and all of these grubs, which is a great setup for this team. You'll have the range of the Senna and those side lanes that we were talking about. Talia and Jax are going to have a field day with this kind of advantage.
The first look from Kanavi when he is level 6 does not end up in an advantage for top esports. It doesn't mean that it's the end of the world, but this is nice for Weibo to get the map rolling in their favor.
Huge find there from Crisp. I was worried whether or not that was actually going to work, but we didn't even talk about that interaction. You have Poppy and Trundle on the same team. That is a guaranteed stun and a great start to this game. Yet again, 2 games in a row now. We've seen strong early starts for Weibo, but they haven't really panned out, at least so far here in this one. So you see a little bit more, potentially setting up a dive for Breathe, but Xiaohu can recall after this wave. He can look for his ultimate. Looks like they're just going to try and force him off the wave.
Hong does have level 6. He's going to try and delay the base just with a cheeky pulverize. A teleport is coming in. Oh, man. Breathe, do you want to stay under this tower? Xiaohu is now here, so this at most is going to be a 3v4. Charm from Creme goes wide. And once Xiaohu shows himself, the rest of top esports are going to retreat from the tower.
I think it's really tough to go for that dive. Mostly it is just posturing for this objective, as we see Kanavi and Hong to start up the dragon, to be their first dragon of the game. This will also open up a teleport advantage here for Weibo, as Xiaohu did not need to use his as Creme moved into the bottom side of the map.
This has been really smart coverage from Chris for the first 10 minutes. We already saw that during the time where Xiaohu was down flash after the first move by Kanavi and Creme. Crisp and Tian were making sure that Xiaohu was protected. Now it's Crisp again, ensuring that Breathe doesn't get dove early and stalls enough time so that Xiaohu is able to cover as well. Now Weibo, what can they do with these Summoner Spell advantages here? We have Rift Herald coming up in 4 minutes. Same with the second dragon of the game. Doesn't look like Tian's going to find anything unless 369 gives him something.
Aw, you got 2 control words there for Tian. This guy's banked. This guy's incredibly rich now. They were seeing if they could put more members. Poppy and Tian are actually hanging in the area. Chris does need to be a little bit careful, but he's probably going to be able to get out in time. Teleport's now coming in from Xiaohu.
369 is dropped to 50% HP. Xiaohu teleports
they need to win
to
this.
The top side. This is a lot invested by Weibo. 4 versus 3 at the moment. JackeyLove is arriving to the party. How fast can he get there? Seismic shove, not a lot of damage as Chris throws Kanavi into the wall. But the play is taking too long, and Tian is forced to flash away from the headbutt pulverized combo. JackeyLove should be able to help with the wave clear, but the Poppy Hammer will punt away 1. Kanavi no longer there. The Weaver's Wall getting the flash. And now top esports
Kanavi's going to come back.
With 3v5.
Uh-oh.
Kanavi is going to come soon. Weibo have to act fast. This dive is not working out well. Chris gets dropped. Cease and desist on the Tian. And Weibo overstay their welcome as Hong is finally dropped in favor of Weibo. But you have to imagine that benefits top esports way more.
Not only with all of those kills going over in the trade, it still will be Weibo trying to force, maybe get this last turret play with these 3 grubs. But Creme is going to be insane this game. He just got himself 2.5 waves on bottom lane and potentially 3 turret plates with this wave. If Creme doesn't carry this game, I think is a travesty and comes into question more and more of us criticizing this mid laner for top esports.
And we've seen both sides of the coin throughout this entire season, right? We've seen Creme get a lot of these resources early, and he's able to deliver, and sometimes he's kind of sitting with his hands tied behind his back, but there'll still be time as we take a look back at the replay of this dive.
Well, as you said so perfectly, this dive took way too long to happen. Like, we're playing not only on this wave, but we're playing on the next one, so another 30 seconds has to go by. There's so much chip damage, but The flash from 369 here to make sure that he gets over the wall, and then Kanavi just gets the flank here. I don't even think they have all that much damage to begin with. This flash from JackeyLove completely cuts the play in half.
At some point in my mind, Dimitri, I just thought, surely Weibo stop here. They got a flash here. Okay, they should stop. Okay, they're going for another flash. Okay, cool. They should stop. They just kept going. And Top Esports are like, do you really want to play this out? You really want to see what happened? Okay.
Stupid games, stupid prizes. That's how it goes. That's how the matchup goes. And look at Creme now. 1,000 gold up with a 20 CS advantage. And the gold, as we see immediately coming on through. JackeyLove and Creme, the most fed in the game. That's exactly where you want that gold to be if you're a Top Esports fan here. And it completely equalizes the gold right now because Breathe and Tian have their individual matchups.
Headbutt from Hong will punt Tian away, and that means Breathe just might get soloed out by all 4 members. The quick flash and the leap strike to a control ward is what saves him in the end. He's getting a little dicey here on the bottom side of the map.
We're making a lot of plays, but now guess what? Top Esports, they get access to the midway first. And they still have the ability to make a play on the top side of the map. They're rotating themselves. Kanavi, after doing a couple jungle camps, will be back in shape with all of his HP back. And we've got a Herald spawning in 30 seconds. As Top Esports, you do not want to give this objective up without making it a big sacrifice for Weibo.
Neither team has secured the feats of strength. Still 2 objectives away, as you called out. Weaver's wall trying to collapse on a 369. He doesn't have flash from the top dive before. And that's an easy setup from both of the solo laners of Weibo, and they're just going to try to opt into taking another turret for themselves here on the top side of the map.
And with sharing not only the gold, but also the turret kill here, Xiaohu gets to clean up a lot of that gold lead that Creme had individually. So now it's them. They're going to be able to move in. I wonder, does Weibo stay to try to fight for the fight for the Herald, or do they look towards the Dragon? As Top Esports, they're not in a great spot to contest for either of these.
Weibo are blitzing the Rift Herald as fast as possible, and if they get this before Top Esports are able to really set up themselves for the bottom side of the map, should be enough time for Weibo to get the bases off thanks to the empowered recalls from the Rift Herald take. We could have a scrap here on the bottom side of the map here as Hong doing his due diligence and setting up aggressive vision and making the entrance from Weibo that more difficult.
Chris is going to be late. He needs to set all of his wards down right now. You see all of this vision for Weibo, focus on the top side of the map so that they can make these plays for their solo lanes. Not the same case on the bottom side of the map. So Top Esports grab themselves the first 2 dragons of the game, and that means either the Oticon in 4 or the dragon that spawns in 5 is going to declare the feats of strength for our teams here. And you kind of look at where they're at right now. Light with 35 stacks on the Senna, not amazing, but getting closer to his second item. JackeyLove is also going to have his Navori Flicker Blade soon. I think it'd be very problematic where we see our 2 AD carries stand.
For Top Esports, I imagine you can be in a gracious period of willing to give away the 3rd dragon if it gives you better posturing and threat over the Oticon. Because you've already taken the first 2 dragons of the game, you're not necessarily on a clock to try and accelerate the game super fast because you have this Sivir that is going to get stronger and stronger the later the game goes on.
Yeah, but you're going to have a Senna, right? Like, Senna's going to have infinite amount of range, and that actually makes it very problematic for Top Esports because outside of Kanavi finding an ultimate, they don't have, like, guaranteed lockdown onto this Senna. And think about how tough it's going to be later on into the game with with Poppy and with this Talia, right?
Killer look on the Creme, forces his Spirit Rush and
nice.
over the walls with the Pulverize. Tian could be in trouble here, still has a flash, but he is not getting out here alive. Creme picks up his first kill, looking for another with the Orbit Deception. It's a double for the mid laner of Top Esports.
And now Creme, he's going to go ahead. He thought he was going to get a recall timing instead, but with how long the lane is, with Jack's already pushing, he's going to TP immediately. Top Esports grab themselves a top tier 1. Let 369 grab this so he can be a little bit more resilient versus this Jax as the game goes on. And that was a great response and a great play coming out from TES.
And it's so crucial that Creme is able to win big in the play because we teed up that he got a lot of gold for free when Weibo sent 5 members for what seemed like an eternity on that top lane dive, and Creme is able to hold strong in this attempt by Weibo and then deliver with a double kill for himself.
I want to give him his flowers. I know famous Twitter user Valiker also wanted to get this going, but when are we going to have a Hong apology? Because ever since he came onto this top esports lineup, he's been playing way better than what we saw from him on Weibo. So I'm really proud of this guy as someone who has been really maligned, especially for some of his international performances. And I'm glad to see him playing so well. It's really all we want from our players, is to see that level of excellence come through in their gameplay.
And I remember getting initially extremely excited about Hong at the beginning of the year and being able to watch some of his tape on his prior team. I want to say was LNG.
It was LNG, correct.
This guy was always a playmaker. He was super aggressive. It seemed like on this Weibo roster during Split 2, he wasn't able to always find the aggressive looks that he wanted, or he was left out to dry. And we were wondering at the beginning of this Split 3 how well the support carousel swap between Crisp and Hong going between these two teams would benefit the other. And I agree with you, Alk. Hong has looked great for this squad, and we're definitely hoping for the best as Top Esports continues to deliver dominant performances through majority of the regular season.
All right, 45 seconds. Oticon spawns. We have a minute and a half before the next dragon. What I'm looking at right now is these 280 carries. Flickerblades is already done. JackeyLove, he uses his spell shields. He's out of this. This should be mid-turret going over to Weibo. But Light is really far behind. He's down almost 40 CS versus this Sivir. And yes, you'll have that scaling eventuality of the Senna. My worry here is are you really going to get there in time with the two dragons that Top Esports have now? 369, he's just going to teleport. Oh!
But the pillar interrupts him. Breathe sets it up by going aggressive with that Grandmaster's Might earlier, and 369 just could not get out in time.
They need to keep their resets, though, because if they overstay for a wave, they lose more off the map here. Creme gets another wave in top lane. Now they're trying to see if they can find anything onto Light. He saw his flash, so he should be fine. Teleport comes out. There's two different teleports. Breathe a massive flank.
Holy moly, JackeyLove popping the thrill of the hunter on the hunt for the movement speed, but Kanavi sends it into the backline, but Creme, I don't think he really wants to go that deep, and Kanavi's forced to flash and reposition. Now Breathe threatening and finds himself some ground beef to chow down on. Top Esports now still in full retreat mode. Xiaohu looking for Kanavi, knowing that he's got no way out, throws another big rock to the back of his head, and Top Esports drop 2.
That could be Oticon here. Weibo, what are they deciding to go for? They have been making plays around the map that are trying to centralize around getting themselves gold, dropping the objectives. They've gotten mid-tier 1, bottom lane tier 1. They've made all of these plays in quick succession and are going for a third turret in this entire play, but are going to back off. They have Hextech gates. We can get right back into this dragon fight.
Resets now coming in for Top Esports. Weibo decide to secure the third dragon for themselves, stop the dragon stacking from Top Esports, and at least guarantee another 5 minutes before the soul is at play. Oticon still yet to be really postured for. We have 369 and Hong, the first one on the top side of the map for Top Esports. Crisp and Breathe matching in tow.
Sivir is always going to have lane priority versus Light. We go right back into this replay, and look at how far out this play extends. We're in the middle of Tier 1 and Tier 2 in mid for blue side, and this play ends in the bottom side jungle of Top Esports here. Light with an immaculate flash to avoid Kanavi, and from here it just feels like it is too desperate. None of the damage dealers are there, and again, we noticed at the beginning, where was Breathe teleporting? It was for this exact play. So a great job here from Weibo to honestly posture them back into this game where it was looking like Top Esports were going to run over them again.
We look back at our pre-show and the discussions about some of the strengths that Weibo have uniquely over some of the other teams. It's that teleport usage. The veterancy of these players know how to find very creative angles to look for quick collapses on the map. That was a prime display of that in Fold, but Weibo are not able to necessarily get a massive gold advantage for themselves.
Is he just soloing this? Wait, observers, go top. Is 369 just so? Yeah, he is.
He
had the pink ward?
The control ward.
Hell
so
yeah.
No idea.
Oh my god. This is incredibly smart. And look at where Xiaohu is. No flash, no teleport, and he has ultimate, but only now are Weibo going to know.
Spotted it. They put down the blue ward. It's less than 3,000 HP, but Tian cannot get into the pit. Top Esports pull a heist off the Oticon, and now Breathe is in trouble. He doesn't have flashes. He already used it. The cease and desist will lock him down. Dawning Shadow.
Oh!
Verdict from Chris. will grant his top lane safe passage.
Well, look, at the very least, Top Esports, you got yourself the Oticon. That's going to accentuate the gold and the experience leads that we see across the lanes. An insane ultimate there. Saves the game, in my opinion, for Weibo coming out from Crisp.
Could have been a huge play for Top Esports. At the end of the day, it is still an Oticon snuck under the noses of Weibo. But that shutdown on to Breathe could have been even more disastrous. Weibo will still be gracious that they are still even in this game relative to the item and power curve. But man, with an Oticon snuck like that.
Yeah. That was really impressive. And honestly, getting the flash wave from Jax is not all that, you know, non-meaningful, I think. When we are talking about whether or not Jax will have access to this backline, Flash Counter-Strike is really tough to outplay in a lot of instances, especially during a team fight. So this limits Weibo's reach into the backline like we've been seeing in some of the fights before.
Meanwhile, JackeyLove has both Flash and Ghost, and will have his ultimate for practically a pseudo-Ghost on top of it. So Top Esports' star 80 carry should be, in theory, safe enough against Breathe's Jax now that he is on 2 items. The next objective coming up is actually Baron in 30 seconds time, because the 4th dragon of the game still has about 1 minute and 40 before it is back on the map.
20 seconds. I'm kind of looking at some of these objectives right now. You have a Sivir with Navori Flicker Blades, so I think a Baron's actually not too off the cards there. You already have 2 items on Kanavi with this Vi. You have to be very afraid if you are Weibo. They already stuck 1 big monster objective versus you. Why not a second one? As right now it is Creme on a side lane. I love the respect that he had, because he could have honestly just walked back into this lane and felt very free to continue to trade versus Breathe, maybe contest a little bit further up, but he doesn't have very much vision. You look at where the rest of his team is, they're on the bottom side of the map, so very respectful from Creme, and he knows what he has to do right now in this game.
Yeah, it's a good show of development over the course of this split and overall season, because we've definitely seen in prior games that Creme has sometimes overextended his welcome on a side lane. Sometimes I affectionately refer to it as a Jojo Pion moment. It's Top Esports making sure that their mid laner, 2.5 items working towards that death cap, should be stalling for enough time, because once he hits that 3rd item spike, this Ahri, if he finds light by himself and there is no way to bail out the Senna, that could be 100-0 really quick.
How are Weibo going to answer this dragon in 15 seconds? That is what's on my mind right now. You have no ability to push on mid. Breathe is going to have to teleport into this, and you're getting all of your vision cleared at this point. I think it's very worrisome here, and even with the evolved Scuttler, now they get complete control of this. Do Weibo just decide to go rip for the Baron? I don't think they have enough damage, especially with Senna's build right now. So yeah. TES, they get themselves to Soul Point. Can Weibo push any more? They're not going to hit mid. They're going to look for top, but a teleport coming out from 369. He has to not only survive, but he needs to break Weibo's ability to hit this turret.
Hong is trying to take a safe way through the jungle on the outskirts of it, as Tian and Chris were marking some of those entrances, but Breathe is just taking a huge chunk. Big seismic shove onto 369. He could just get bursted out before the rest of Top Esports collapse. Dawning Shadow finally helps finish him off with the power of that Subjugate, but JackeyLove is firing these ricochet blades, and no one can reach JackeyLove. Breathe falls, and now Top Esports are ready to turn the fight! JackeyLove is untouched once again, and this Sivir is online!
That's another triple kill, and that's a full-on ace. Only 369 falls. I love to watch how Hung played that entire fight, stopping Breathe from hitting onto his 80 carry, and then the knockups there. Just sublime coming in for Top Esports. It'll be a Baron afterwards, and that could be the point of the game that we look back and we say, damn, Top Esports really started to crush from then on.
While the gold may look even right now, it's going to be ballooning very fast once we get back on the map after this replay.
I just want to watch Hong, man. The entire time. Walks in, gets a knock up on the 2. He takes all of this damage. Nobody is dealing with him. Stops Breathe as well. And then the back end of this fight, man, just Oh, I love to see it. And all of this damage are walking into the Sivir here. What is Light doing? He already has a pretty massive disadvantage. He's down a level and a half thanks to the Oticon. And the damage isn't quite there. You don't have that many stacks. He's at 70 stacks right now at 28 minutes. This Senna is not going to have enough time to play this game. And now JackeyLove has 3.5 items. Tian's Bree's dead.
He has a leap strike. Can he flash over to the blast cone? But there's so many members surrounding him from the side of Top Esports. There's no way that Jax ever gets out of that scenario. And unfortunately for Weibo, they're now down another member on the map while Top Esports are ready to push into these second turrets with the Baron buff on their side.
I think the dot damage from the Bloodletter's Curse prevented him from getting into it. Because if you're in combat, you can't activate the Hextech portal. So very, very close stuff here. Top Esports now playing on 2 lanes, and I love the positioning of Hung and Kanavi. Wait in between these 2 lanes and see what the play is going to be.
He knows that JackeyLove is down some, but he's just trying to 1v1 a Sivir. This Fed, that is never, ever going to work, Xiaohu. And Creme is going to force another flash out of the members of Weibo Gaming with the forceful aggression off of that charm play. And Top Esports still continuing to press on forward as Light and the rest of Weibo have to be careful because Creme is hunting. One more Spirit Rush at the ready. And Top Esports use the threat of it to take this inhibitor.
Oh my god!
Charm run into Tian! He's dead! Top Esports might just try to end the game right now.
They got another wave in mid lane here and still Baron rocks for another minute so they can continue this pressure. Xiaohu's up in 15.
Chris stops another vault breaker, but he's got a cease and desist. Light is forced to flash. Kanavi
That's
gives
it.
his life. That Top Esports can just barrel through the Nexus towers. Breathe is already below 50%, but Top Esports just show an exceptional masterclass at sweeping a series.
There we go. I was worried we were going to get another 3-game series coming out from Top Esports. Another 15 minutes that looked a little bit wavy. But goddamn, did they make it look clean with this immaculate team fighting and really, really smart use of vision around the Oticon to set up that objective and then the Baron fight afterwards. This is the Top Esports that I want to see going into playoffs.
When we teed up this team against Weibo, we knew that Weibo is one of the teams on the outliers of the top 2 in this soup of 3-4 other teams that on paper, their roster has a baseline of talent that is good enough to punch into the 4 seeds going into Worlds. But if Top Esports want to continue proving, like you said, that they deserve to be at the top competing with BLG for another title, or at least number 1 seed by the end of the Rumble stage, you have to put away the rest of the teams, especially ones like Weibo, just like how we saw them do it.
This is the way that they keep themselves in that top 2 because of the fact that they lost to BLG already. BLG are 6-0 with their match that we saw of them today. Imagine that with them playing WE again tomorrow, that is going to be another series that they win. So imagine they go up to 7-0. Top Esports now at 7-1. This is how they keep themselves and make sure, especially with 2 O's, that they are able to secure first place. And so important, especially with the fact that you don't have to play an additional series. First seed usually also gets an advantage. You usually get to pick your opponents first, like we saw in Split 2 playoffs. So very, very exciting stuff. We still have a couple of days here. I know we have about 42 days in the regular season. We're at 22 now. Still got a lot of games left to play going forward.
And you know what, Dimitri? I am going to pull up my calendar because I just want to give a shout out to the next time Top Esports plays against BLG to give all of our fans an idea of what date to really look forward to. The collision course, the rematch between our top 2 teams. August 17th.
That'll be, yep.
That's my birthday. Holy shit. That's crazy.
Look at that. I'm going to make sure that Kelsey does not schedule you for that day.
Thank you. Thank you. I want to enjoy that epic banger from the comfort of my bed. Maybe the couch if I want to order some late night food.
That backfired. That backfired. I really wanted you to be really excited to cast that one on your birthday, but that's fine.
Listen, don't get me wrong. If it was in the morning, I'd totally be down.
It is technically in the morning.
No, but not. I want it during the day. You know, I think as I'm approaching 30 years old, I want my birthday present to be a good night's sleep. I want to choose to be able to decide, okay, you know what? Do I watch this live or do I just watch it in the morning when I wake up, But anyway,
kind of real.
Kind of real. I try to speak facts whenever I can. But Top Esports, I cannot continue singing praises about this team. I was super excited the way that JackeyLove was firing on all cylinders from the beginning of this split. Obviously, the encounter with BLG took them down a peg, and we're going to have to continue monitoring how BLG continue their progress, since earlier today, if you're just tuning in, they played against WE, and they did drop a game against them, but they still won the series 2-1, so BLG remain undefeated in series score, unlike Top Esports, who have only dropped one series to BLG.
Yeah, and 14-6 is their game score. BLG will have 12-3. Let's flip over to the opponents right now, though. Weibo, a disappointing loss, even though I think we came into today expecting maybe that Top Esports were going to win. For Weibo, it's really important that even if they can't win these series, they need to keep their chins up and really look forward towards their schedule, because now, with this loss, they're tied with AL in 4th place at 3-4. With how AL are looking, honestly, the fight for 4th could be anybody's. We came into this split being like, okay, Top Esports, BLG, AL, and then IG is probably 4th, and then JDG and Weibo can fight for 5th, 6th. With how it's looking, that 4th seed going into playoffs is anybody's game now. Not JDG's, though. Not their game. They could play a different game.
The 4th spot going into playoffs would mean so much to any of our middle-of-the-pack teams that are just desperately trying to find consistent wins, not just in series, but in also their games, because sometimes teams like Weibo, JDG, and who else am I thinking of? I think IG have proven at this point
they're top 3 for sure.
They're top 3. They have dropped a series to FPX, and that was weird. But for the most part, IG has definitively been our 3rd best team in the league, and we're definitely excited to talk about more on them once we get to our 3rd series of the day coming up soon. But we are still winding down on the highlights, still waiting to see who our MVP is going to be. I want to say it should be Hong. I want it to be Hong.
I want it to be Hong. I think another player who could possibly get it is JackeyLove, because this Sivir was insane. Like, I know we didn't get to see too much of him early game, but his positioning in a lot of these fights, part of it having to do with the fact that he does have Navori Flicker Blade, so he has no cooldowns whatsoever. But you could just see how fearless he is. And it is such a marked improvement, because Split 1 and Split 2, I think maybe it was due to the fact that he was playing with Crisp, and that just obviously wasn't working for the two of them. But it is night and day how much more JackeyLove is willing to step forward, especially in the laning phase alone. He has been way more aggressive than we have seen from him previously.
He really is playing the lines and trying to do his best to bait out cooldowns from Weibo just to make it even easier for Top Esports to punish. Obviously, Creme was given a lot of leverage this game to propel forward to be a strong carry, and he did his job. I'm not sure if Creme did anything spectacular.
That brother caught gold. That's all that matters. He caught the gold sack. That's all that matters.
Yep.
Like, he did what I needed from him in the mid lane. I know we put a little bit of spotlight in the mid lane, but what was one of the things we talked about is that Creme is really, really smart about when and how he gets gold on the map. So, glad to see that was more of the same. I don't think there was too much in terms of personal improvement, but that's all you need. Honestly, it's a regular season. You have a bunch of best of series you're going to play anyway. We take these small little pieces, and we're seeing more and more of a Top Esports that I think we can get excited for as we get into the back half of our split.
Yep, as long as Creme is consistent during the Rumble stage, then we can see if he can clutch up and try and be a superstar carry, just like JackeyLove and Kanavi have been able to be for this team once it comes to those big stakes matches, like against BLG in particular, where Knight still is kind of reigning as the best mid laner in the league. And you called it, Alk. I still want to give an honorable shout out to Hong, because he created the world for JackeyLove to rule over, but it is still JackeyLove's world, and we're just living in it.
This guy is currently leading the league in MVPs. Your boy Xiaohu on EDG, he has 5. JackeyLove has 7 now with this one. Just impressive stuff. He already gained AD Carry of the Week in Week 1 and Week 2. He was the best player of those 2 weeks, according to the official LPL broadcast. So wouldn't be surprised with his performance so far if maybe he earns another spot going into Week 4.
Yep. Well, that's a wrap on our series for Top Esports and Weibo. We've got one more series coming your way. It is JDG taking on IG. Stay